I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is the Willow Maid by the band Erutan? Erutan?
Sure.
Sure.
This is for the core.
For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America Vin and Sori, where you will hear about why Vin is the singular most captivating and frustrating individual on the internet, according to the big homie from New Zealand. Lively conversations there as always. And this is the core. Now, what is the core? The core is what we call an alliance. So you will notice, dear listener, that most reaction channels, and please check them out and support them, will chop their songs up every 20-30 seconds or so. The reason they do that is because when you put an ad on your channel, YouTube, Google gets a cut and then you get a cut. Well, if you play the song all the way through without interrupting, the Google sends you this nice little nifty little message. They say your channel is fine. It's just that the cut that you were going to get is going to go to the record label because you listened to the song all the way through. So that's what happened to us, and it continued to happen to us. And so we try to find different ways around that. But the community spoken basically said, no, we want you to play the song straight through. Don't mess with the format. So we decided to offset those misses by Patreon. So we figured, hey, if people believed in what we were trying to accomplish, $1 at the gate gets you in, and then you get to meet legendary people like Leah and Pony and Ian and all that jazz. And so that's what we have. We have different alliances where they're basically genre specific, and you're able to pick what type of songs you want. You vote together. Every alliance has their own different thing. And there you go. So this is the core. This is one of the legacy alliances we have with some of our favorite people on the planet Earth.
Definitely.
And it's my favorite thing. By the way, if you are part of Alliance, even at the $1 tier, you will have access to the restricted area in the website whenever that launches.
Links are in the description.
Links are in the description. If you're a filthy capitalist like Sori and you don't want to operate within a group, you just want all the stuff for yourself.
You want your stuff straight on the short list?
$125 gets you pushed straight to the gate. And
unless you've done it with us 3 or more times.
In which case it's $75. Okay? But do the community option. It's better. You'll have friends, things of that nature. Don't be a filthy capitalist.
Or you don't have to wait. I understand.
By the way, they're doing the deductions now and things of that nature. So some of you, if you left things on Patreon that you didn't want to update, you can update it now. And if they deduct your thing and you need the thing back, just reach out to us. We'll take care of you. It's the beginning of the month. They usually do it all the way up till the 4th. So just be mindful of that. The Willow, Maid, Erutan. Let's go.
Here we go.
Very Lord of the Ringsy.
Yeah.
Messiah.
And happy. Okay.
A young man walked through the forest with his quiver and hunting bow. He heard a young girl singing and followed the sound below. There he found the maiden who lives in the willow. He called to her as she listened from a ring of toadstools red. Come with me, my maiden, come from thy willow bed. She looked at him serenely and only shook her head. See me now, oh ray of light in the moon dance. See me now, I cannot leave this place. Hear me now, a strain of song in the forest. Don't ask me to follow where you lead. A young man walked through the forest with a flowering coat of green. His love had hair like fire, her eyes an emerald sheen. She wrapped herself captured. Oh, I would be your crew. She said she'd wed them never, not near nor far nor soon. See me now, a ray of light in the moon dance. See me now, I cannot leave this place. Hear me now, a strain of song in the forest. Don't ask me to follow where you lead. Hey, 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 hey. A young man walked through the forest with an axe sharp as a knife. I'll take the green eyed fan, and she shall be my wife. With her I'll raise my children, with her I'll live my life. The maiden wept when she heard him, when he said he'd set her free. He took his axe and used it to bring down her ancient tree.
I don't know about that.
Now your willow's fallen, now you belong to me. See me now, a ray of light in the moon dance. See me now, I cannot leave this place. Hear me now, a ray of light in the hands. Don't ask me to follow where you lead. She followed him out the forest and collapsed upon the earth. Her feet had walked but a distance from the green land of her birth. She faded into a flower that would bloom for one bright eve. He could not take from the forest what was never meant to leave.
Yep. Yep, I had a bad feeling about that. I was like, I don't know.
There's an official video here, and it looks like the fairy's life force was connected to the tree.
Well, that's what I was assuming.
So this is a
Killed her.
This is a pretty interesting song because it's very whimsical and it's very beautiful sounding and innocent sounding, but in reality, it's a really horrific story. Yeah, it looks like her life. So I'm looking at the official video. I like the. I wish they would have done the official video. I think we could have
They
got
didn't
away.
want to get it blocked, probably.
I think we could have got away with this one. But it looks like. Yeah, that's what happened. Her life force was connected to the tree, and
That
then
is what happened.
she said, no, not now, not ever. Not if you were the last person on the earth. And homeboy said, word. And he left and he came back with an axe and destroyed her tree so that
I thought that it
She
was
would
two
have-
different people, actually.
she would. Really? Do you still think that or no?
I got to look at the lyrics myself. I was just looking at the lyrics from here. I thought there was two different guys, and she said no, not ever to the first one, and the second one said, you know, he.
I'm pretty certain it's the same guy.
Maybe it is. I thought that he was.
Because if you see the video, it's definitely the same guy. Go ahead.
I thought he was tricking her.
What do you mean?
by like his plan was to cut down the tree and take her for himself. Like, who does that? You can't just claim a person like that. You know what I mean? Like, you will be my wife, you'll have my children, like in the world. And then, but he, like, I thought that was his plan, but the plan that he communicated to her was, I'm gonna set you free. And as soon as he chops the tree down, he takes her and whips her away.
No, I think she rejected him, and he came back and said, well, I'm just going to take you anyway. And then he snatched her, he cut down her tree, and then, because she says at the end, he could not take from the forest what was never meant to leave. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty certain it's the same guy.
Yeah.
So if you, go ahead, what were you saying?
Yeah, she says, don't ask me to follow where you lead.
Yeah, how dare this woman have her own autonomy and decide who she wants to be with and who she doesn't. What in the world?
That's what I'm saying. He's like, you'll be my wife, you'll make my children.
I mean, this is kind of like a metaphorical clash between the old world and the new world. You know, back in the day, like, women, somebody asked me one time, they're like, you know, what do you think of Joseph Smith? And I said, well, I mean, you know, I brought up the racial issues with him and Brigham Young. Not to say he's a racist, I don't like him, but to simply say that one of the ways I gauge a religious leader or any great person is if they go against the spirit of the age.
Yeah.
And so everybody was pretty much racist back then. Mm-hmm. If you weren't, you were an exception. So that's one of the reasons I don't accept Joseph Smith. I'm like, you just went along with what everybody else did. Mm-hmm. But there's a very interesting story in Genesis where Isaac, you know, the guy is looking for a wife for Isaac.
Yeah.
And then they run into Rebecca. The guy's praying. He says, he has all these signs for, you know, what, you know, he wants the guy's wife to be like. And Rebecca fulfills all these signs. And so then he goes to the father and says, give me this woman to give back to the son of my master. Mm-hmm. And the response is amazing. He goes, well, let the young woman decide for herself whether or not she wants to go. Which, this is the ancient Near East. Like, you were selling girls off for camels. And so that was like, that's a pretty, you know, to us, we go, yeah, of course. You know. Mm-hmm. But we don't realize like how mind-boggling that is. That's pretty crazy for an ancient Near Eastern document. But it's been the lot of women for the majority of human history that they just kind of get traded around and they almost report to all men. And so this dude just rolls up on her and says, hey, I like you. You're going to be my wife. You're going to have kids. We're going to have a family. It's like no discussion as to whether or not she wants that.
Yeah.
It was just very weird. And then I think to myself, it's interesting. She mentions the toadstools.
I don't remember hearing the toadstools.
At the very beginning.
Yeah.
Well, it just made me think of the DMT stuff.
Oh.
Because, you know, it's like mushrooms are randomly showing up everywhere. You know, I was like, maybe she wrote this song when she was on a DMT trip. But yeah, see, look, there are the toadstools right there.
Oh, that's why she wept when she heard him say he'd set her free.
Yeah,
because she knew.
That's the thing about abusers, though. They really believe that they're doing it in the best interest of the person that they're trying to abuse and control. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen that so many times with dudes. It's like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then they'll say, oh, what are you, some social justice warrior or something? I can't control women now?
I can't control women now.
Oh, they've got their own autonomy. They can decide who they're with. Oh
my gosh.
There's some dudes that have that mentality.
Oh,
man.
absolutely. Yep, lots of them.
Dudes are
more or less, depending on where in America you live, I think.
Well, I mean, we've seen this attitude a lot in the church.
Yep.
Like where people take the understanding of how men and women are to relate from the New Testament, and it's mind-boggling stuff. They really believe that means they can boss their woman around and do all this craziness.
Their woman.
And see, that stuff doesn't bother me because I'm your man. Like, we use possessive pronouns both ways, but the thing that gets me is the Bible says, you know, that the men are the head of the house or whatever, and then it tells us in the New Testament that Christ is the example. Mm-hmm. So that man is Christ in the relationship, and the woman is the church in the relationship. And when you look at Christ's mission and teaching and how he interacted with his disciples, there's only one time when Jesus pulled the "I'm the leader" card on everybody. And that's when he was trying to wash their feet. And Peter said,
no.
Well, not they, but Peter said, "You will never wash my feet." Because the washing of the feet was the work of the lowliest slave. You didn't have paved roads and things like that. So you're walking around and there's cow and sheep junk all over the street and whatever. And so you were wearing sandals, so you can imagine. So the foot washer was the lowest of the low. As a matter of fact, Jesus was not the only traveling rabbi. There were lots of traveling rabbis, and their disciples would serve them. But there was one act of service that even the rabbis wouldn't allow their disciples to do, and that was foot washing. Mm-hmm. So Jesus shows up to wash Peter's feet, and he says, "Will you wash my feet? You will never wash my feet." And then Jesus says, "Oh yeah? If you don't let me wash your feet, me and you are done." Then Peter says, "Well then, my head and my hands as well, Lord."
Do it all.
So the one time Jesus pulled the "Hey, I'm the leader" card, you have to listen to what I say, is when Jesus was lowering himself to the low of the low to serve his bride, the church. Mm-hmm. And so that is the template that you have. And I have never really met a woman, well, I've met one, that if a guy had that attitude where it was like, I am going to use all of my authority to serve you the best that I possibly can. You know, like I always say, like, if you're at a car dealership and you want the black car and your wife wants the orange car, then you're supposed to say, "Okay, we're getting the orange car."
And if she says,
and
no, then
she says, no,
I'm going to divorce you if you don't get the orange.
Yeah. If she says, "No, I want you to have the black one," and then there's an argument, the man is supposed to say, "Look, I'm the head of the household. I make the final decision. We're getting the orange car." That's how you're supposed to use your authority as a man scripturally. That's what I teach the boys. And, you know, like, we're house hunting right now, and, you know, she's got the final call on the house. And when we were shopping for a car, she had the final call on the car. Like, that's just how that's how you're supposed to use your, you know, even though at the time we weren't together, but, you know, I was like, "I have to take the car, whatever." That's how you're supposed to use your authority from a biblical perspective. You're not supposed to walk around and say, "I'm the man," and run around and tell, "This is how it's gonna be," and yada, yada. It's just very strange. Like, and it's weird because these same dudes they're also the same people that hate big government. Mm-hmm. And the Bible says you're supposed to submit to your government.
Well, no, they want to tell somebody else what they to do, but they don't want to be told what to do.
Correct. And they're so quick to remind the woman, "You're supposed to submit to me." And then they don't want to submit to the government. Well, the government is tyrannical. And and you're a tyrannical bastard in your house and your wife hates you. All right. So, it just made me think of a lot of things, and I'm just like, wow. And, you know, honestly, like, that's a really big thing. There are dudes that cannot handle rejection from a female, and then you know, it's the whole incel thing, you know, which I think that whole movement is starting to calm down a little bit, or maybe because other things are happening in the world. Maybe we were just bored. Yeah. But there was that guy, and he went and I think he went to a gym, and he just blasted away these girls. And then you look at his, like, stuff, and he was talking about the rejection he was facing and how bad the girls were because they weren't, you know, interested in him and taking his advances and things like that. And so, like, the song is very, like, whimsical, and it has that Lord of the Rings vibe, but it's like, it's a very, very dark reality in a lot of dudes.
The thing is, sometimes, you know, girls can be, you know, they can misunderstand how a guy is, and he's actually crazy, and they don't realize it. But, you know, there are other times where we're very wise to realizing someone's crazy, and, like, this guy was obviously crazy. He went in there and shot people because he didn't get what he wanted.
Right.
That is obviously he had issues.
Right.
So it's like, maybe they were picking up on that, you know.
Maybe they just didn't like you, bro. Maybe you should have been in the gym. Go to the gym. Like, like, there was
Yeah.
that one guy, and he was always so like.
He had all these high standards for the women, but he himself took no accountability for his own physique.
Didn't really take care of himself that well. And then on top of that, the girl still gave him a chance, but he was so overwhelming emotionally. Mm-hmm. So I'd be like, yo, fam, like, maybe like back up a little bit, give Shorty room to breathe. He's like, what are you talking about? Well, she's supposed to come to me with it. Da-da-da-da. If they have a problem with me, they're supposed to come to me. I'm like, bro, it's not even about that, man. But he couldn't deal with it. Couldn't just. People are weird, man. People are weird. But yeah, it's a really dangerous thing. And, as men, I think it really is incumbent on us to. And that's why it's so important for me very, very, very early to say no, and to say no often to all especially the boys when they were babies, and Orion. It's very, very important for me that they get that understanding. No, just because you want something doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Oh, that's true.
And
I really thought about that.
I really think like that's important for parents, especially of boys too. I'm not saying that girls aren't crazy themselves. Believe me, I've dealt with some crazy females and have literally the scars to show for it. But what I'm saying is it's very incumbent on men to early and often say no. And it's also incumbent on you. That's why I tell you, tell him no.
I just realized when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. It's actually more important probably for me to say it because they need to be able to hear no from a woman and respect that.
Correct. They got, you can't have that Norman Bates energy where the mother just, idolizes the little boy or whatever, and then he goes out into the real world and these girls like, what? Because, Orion, he's going to be a very attractive young man. Okay, but
it's our 1-year-old.
Most boys are not going to get worshipped by girls the way that their mother worships them. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very important for them to hear no early and often so that they can have a category for understanding that. And because here's the thing, it's so, especially if the mother is a very, deeply loves the child, like you deeply love Orion. It's even more healthy because the kid can take the rejection and still know that he's loved. Mm-hmm. That's very, very important. But if you're just flooding the guy and you're spoiling him and da-da-da-da-da, so then the kid starts computing that yes equals love and no equals no love, then he goes out into the world and he doesn't know how to handle rejection.
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't even know how to understand that no doesn't mean they're even rejecting you as a person. Doesn't mean they're rejecting you. It just means, we got one kid that can't really deal with no a lot. So he doesn't respond. He doesn't act out and get violent with it. He'll just internalize it and not ask. And so, we were having a conversation about that, about strategies to work with that. But I just think it's important, man, because, the biblical stuff, Christians, you've got an advantage with that. But whether or not you're a Christian, I do think it's important for mom to say no, and for dad to say no, and for and it's very interesting with Orion because when you say no to him, especially when I say no to him, he'll look away. It's like it's unbelievable. He'll look away. He won't talk to you. What happened? He wanted something. I said no, and then I left the room, and then he was like. He was looking away from me. He was all upset, and then, or he got in trouble for them or whatever. And then as soon as I left, he runs and jumps into this one's lap there.
He did.
Yeah.
He waited. He looked, and as soon as the door shut, he stood right up and he came over.
He's got his little attitude.
Laid all over me.
He's got his little attitude. Yeah, and you just feed right into him. You're turning the kid into.
Yeah, it was too hard to push him off when he did that. It was so cute.
And that's how people like this evil bastard gets created.
And he's only 1. That's what people always say. They're only 7. He's only 16.
He's only 25. He's just figuring out life.
Yeah. Give the boy some space.
No, I start him early.
He only hit her.
Yeah. Oh, he was. Yeah. All the excuses. I'll tell you what. There's nothing more toxic than a mother who subsidizes her son's pathologies and makes infinite excuses for him. It's one of the worst.
Oh, my word!
It's one of the worst things of all time. It's terrible.
Yeah, I totally could be like that.
I know.
Look at his eyes. Anyway, I really like the sound of this song.
I thought this is a very smart song because she never let the song get dark. So if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't see how dark the song was. But this is a very, very dark song, and it's a very interesting commentary on human nature.
Yep.
And so that's what I want my girls to say. If she's not feeling dude, I want the girls to say, man, no, get it. That's probably not smart though. We gotta work on strategies and how the girls can safely reject these dudes because.
No, I don't think either one of our girls would be mean. I think by the time they have that attitude, it's because the guy keeps pushing them. I don't think either one of them would be mean about saying no to somebody that was asking them out.
I can definitely see Zoe like on the third occasion saying, no!
But that's what I'm saying. You keep pushing her, well then, why shouldn't she say it like that?
Yeah, well, it's because I'm trying to maintain my pacifism. You know, she does that and he does something reckless. Yeah, I don't know. Very interesting stuff. Life changes as a man when you start having girls because there's so many things about the way all this stuff operates that you go, holy shit!
Oh my gosh.
Whoa, 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 whoa! You know what I mean? Like, so.
I know. I worry about the girls. You know, Zoe was like, she wanted to go outside and have some alone time. I used to need that when I was her age too. You know, I used to go,
100%.
but we had a private yard. It wasn't like a whole.
100%.
You know, there's so many apartments here, and I'm like, who's here? And I don't know these people. And
100%.
you know, so she was out there, and then you took off with her in the car, and I was like, where is she?
I took off with her in the car. What did you give the song? But you panic over everything.
Well, I had just read that story about that girl
Panic over everything.
on the base. So I was more
Everything's
like,
an emergency.
no, that's not true.
Generally.
Anyway, I would give this one a 9.2. It had like a. You reminded me of Tinkerbell too.
Yeah, I can go with a 9.2. Good song. It's a precautionary tale.
Yes.
And I hope people pay attention to it because it's an important message. Good pick. Good pick.
You remember how you told that story about like the rose and the guy admires the rose, he admires the rose, but then when he picks it and once you pick it, it dies.
Yeah.
And so you should have left that thing where it was. There are certain things you need to leave alone.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go.
There you go. Admire from a distance. Admire my girls from a distance. Otherwise, been out.
Sorry, yeah.
Gone.
Her eyes an emerald sheen. She wrapped herself in beauty, so young and so serene. He stood there under the willow, and he gave her the yellow bloom. Girl, my heart you've captured. Oh, I would be your groom. She said she'd wed him never, not near nor far nor soon. See me now, a ray of light in the moon dance. See me now, I cannot leave this place. Hear me now, a strain of song in the forest. Don't ask me to follow where you lead. Hey, 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 hey. A young man walked through the forest with an axe sharp as a knife. I'll take the green eyed fairy, and she shall be my wife. With her I'll raise my children, with her I'll live my life. The maiden wept when she heard him, when he said